Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce Brewery by 30. Today we will continue our session number 3 for the section, the dumps questions which we would be doing. Here, please note that there is no guarantee whenever you are watching this video that these would be the exact questions asked. But here we are trying to go question by question to understand that, what exactly this question is stating and, where we could find that answer in our Salesforce world. So this is basically like, if you are a newbie to the Salesforce, I would recommend to go through the Salesforce a quick sessions, classes, like, to understand what all this is talking about. And once you are, up to the mark or the speed to understand, like, the whole Salesforce admin syllabus, this would be a great a reference point to understand what type of a question can come in an exam, and where to find the answers and all that. With that being said, let's resume our work. So I would start with question number 11. Last time we stopped at question number 10. So the question 11 is, CloudKicks needs to change the owner of a case when it has been open for more than 7 days. How should the administrator complete this requirement? It's a very simple ask that, when the request is open for more than 7 days, how does the administrator performs this requirement? So the answer is like, validation rule, escalation rules, auto response rules, assignment rules. So so here the answer is number B, which is escalation rule. Now, how do we access the escalation rule? So here, if we see that there is a trailhead for automated case management. What does automated case management means is that, we have a case management tool in Salesforce, organizing the customer cases into one place and making sure that they go to the right person for a right answer by the time. Service Cloud does all behind the scene with the automation tool. Service is easier, faster, and better. For example, that, how we call customer service. And when we call customer service, we don't know who the service representative would be. That could be a possible queue, for example, like, whoever is next available in the queue can, pick up the call. So it automatically prioritizes your support team's workload by creating a list from which specified agent can jump in to solve certain type of a case. Assignment rule, it's an automatically assign incoming case to specific agent so that right people work on the right case. Escalation rule is an escalate case to the right people when the cases aren't solved by a certain time. And auto responses, like, when we create any case request on, even on the Salesforce, we get this is thank you for creating the case or whatever, and then there is an auto response email to the customer based on each case details. So this is a quick brief on the case management tool. And how can the escalation work is like, we go to the gear icon and set up home, and we search for escalation. So in the services, we get an escalation rules, and here is the place where we could set up our whole escalation rules, depending on how we want to set up. Depending on what definition we want to give it to them. Moving on to the next one. So the human resource department at the North Trail Outfitter wants employees to provide feedback about the manager using the custom object in the Salesforce. It is important that the manager are unable to see the feedback records from their staff. How should an administrator configure the custom object to meet this requirement? Uncheck the grant hierarchy using hierarchies, define a criteria-based sharing rule, set default external access to private, or configure an owner-based sharing rule. I would say a criteria-based sharing rule. You know why? Because, hierarchy, if we, hierarchies, I believe, like, once we have role hierarchy, let's go in here. So the role hierarchy, once we have set up it is all auto defined, and it will always go in this way. So lateral people can see each other, but horizontal line can see each other. So obviously we can't disable the role hierarchy here. If we define a criteria based role, that sharing role, that really makes sense. Like, turn on the object to be private, define a sharing role that if the for these particular type of end records, make sure that you share with these and these people and not this people. This is pretty robust method, like criteria based sharing rule. And we can do default external as in private, because manager is also an internal team. So when it says default external is private, when we go to the sharing setting, external, so manager is a part of the internal access team. So we, even if we make it external private, it's not going to be helpful. And configure an owner based sharing rule, this is more robust, number B. There are a bunch of the trailheads, and I could go ahead and this talks about the roles. We just had a quick brief on that one, and I can go ahead and quickly open this one. So this is like control access to the records. So criteria based could be record level security, which we could do. It's per record we can do a sharing settings. We could have organization settings. These are the sharing settings. This is how it works. And then role hierarchy, sharing roles, and then manual sharing roles. Record level is controlled in four different ways. There is like org wide, default, sharing setting, role hierarchy, sharing roles, and then manual sharing. Moving to the next one. An analytics user at the Cloud Kicks needs read, create, and edit access for object and should be restricted from deleting any object. What should the administrator do to meet this requirement? Create and assign a custom profile with delete access. Assign a standard administrator profile to an analytical user. Now, create and assign a permission set that includes this, and give user view all access and assign them highest role in the role hierarchy. I believe it's in number C here. Oops, makes sense. Create and design a custom profile with delete access. Actually, yeah. This makes sense. Like, permission set, this could be controlled in permission sets as well, but this is more robust way. Because an analytics user, we create a profile. Well, profile and permissions are additive. So, we need to suppress it here or keep it the same at the profile level. So we create a profile, custom profile, and make sure that, that object level delete perm is removed from that. This is a very good way to restrict the delete access. There are the two major type of the user profile in Salesforce. One is standard profile and one is custom profile. While standard profile is a profile already provided by the Salesforce, a custom profile can be created by the user based on their user requirement. A profile is a group of collection of the settings and the permissions that, this is a profile definition. It's a group of the collection of the settings and the permissions that define what a user can do in the Salesforce. A profile controls object permissions, user permissions, field permissions, tab setting, app settings, Apex class access, Visual Force access, page layout, record type, login hours, and login IP ranges. So it's talking about, let's go here. And we can go to the profile. So if we go here, it's talking about the custom profile. Now, custom profile is like, we have a bunch of the Salesforce profile, but custom profile, you could always go ahead and clone and make your own profile. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and create our own custom profile. So I'm going to plant the custom profile from this by cloning this. So let's do this. So 30 standard user. So here I'm an analytic, or we could do analytic user no deletions, cannot delete it. So here we created a profile, and it's talking about a profile is a group of the collection of settings. So if you see, there are a huge collection of the settings present here. So this is what a profile is. So it holds a field level security. So I could adjust the field per object here, what they can view, what they cannot view, kind of, and like, read access, edit access, kind of a thing. So it can, if we see, it is a field permission, so it's a field level security. Page layouts, we could adjust the page layouts of, assigning a layout to the profile, like, okay, a profile analytics user profile should have this layout assignments to be done. Custom object layouts, we could do a custom object layouts. These are all the custom objects which I have on this org. It can we can define the field level securities here. We can define the custom app settings. So these are all the apps, and if you see, like, these are all the apps sitting here on this org, and how much access do we want to give to that profile. Connected app exchange, so connected app, like, whatever connecting app, Salesforce files is a connected app. Whatever we want to do, the connected app exchange tab setting, default on, default off. Default off is like, we can't see in the tab here, but off meaning, it's hidden. And then tab hidden. Record type settings, so what kind of an how do we want to adjust the record types, and then record type settings are being adjusted here. Administrative permissions of, what we want to do here. General user permissions, there are tons. Standard object permissions, custom object permissions, login hours, IP ranges, Apex classes, visual force pages, external data source accesses, enable name credential accesses, custom metadata type accesses, enable custom setting definition accesses, enable flow access, enable service presence access, enable custom permission, default experience, cloud side access. Oh, so profile is really a group of collection of all the settings and the permission set. So I hope this helps to understand that, why profile would be more robust way to adjust or restrict a user from deleting. Moving on to the next one. The service manager at the Ursa Major Solar wants to let customer know that they have received their case via email and their website. Medium priority and high priority case should receive a different email notification than the low priority case. The administrator has created 3 email templates for this purpose. How should an administrator configure these requirements? So administrator has a 3 email templates, and there is a whole, it's aiming to have a medium priority and high priority case should receive a different email notification than the low. So it's a 3 email templates, low, medium, and high. And administrator, how should administrator configure these requirements? So include 3 assignment rule that fire when the cases are created. Add a filter for the case priority. Select the appropriate email template for each rule. Add 3 auto responses rules. Configure 1 rule criteria, entry criteria for each rule, and set a filter for case priority. Select an appropriate email template for each rule entry. Configure 1 workflow rule that fires when cases are created. Add a filter for case priority. Select the appropriate email template for the rule, and create a 1 auto response rule. Configure 3 rule entry criteria and set a filter for the case priority. Select an appropriate email template for each rule. This sounds like in a right way. Like, we could have 1 auto response rule and then have 3 entry criteria and set up a email template for each criteria. Now, in terms of now moving to this trailhead, like, what does auto response rule mean? So you can always go ahead and check out this trailhead, but here I'm going to give you a quick brief of what auto response rule mean. So auto response rule, it's a way to create a web to lead responses. So From the setup, like we enter the auto response. So let's go ahead and from the setup, we enter the auto response. So this is an web to lead auto response rule. So from the setup, we enter here and then find lead auto response rule to create a response for cases. From setup, enter an auto response rule in the quick finder. Yeah, we did that. Enter the rule name, and to activate this rule, select active, click save, enter the rule entries. So create a response rule entries, like, we click on the new, enter the rule details, enter number, to specify the order this entry is proceed. The rule process entry in this order, we could go ahead and click on new and have the rule name enter, case management. Let's name that. Oops, I forgot to click on active here. So let's go to the case management again, click and load and active. So we now have an active case management lead auto response rule here, and we could go ahead and so this is our auto response rule, and we can define our entry criteria depending on, we could enter the process numbers, and we could make sure to put on the entry criteria. How to enter the entry criteria is when we go to our rule which we have just created, the case management. In the rule entries, we could click on the new and define our sort orders, we could define our sort orders accordingly, and then criteria are met or formulas evaluated, and then we could define our entry criteria however we want to. Like, for example, if the priority field which we have created, this is what it says, like, and set a filter for the case priority. So here we could go here, and then if there is a field name, so if there is a field name case priority, if not, then we create that custom field and set up an entry criteria is equal to blah, is equal to blah, and is equal to blah. Specify the name and address to include on the auto response, and then we could have our email template set up such. So enter the name to include from, we could define our email template, so and so forth, and that's it. So that's this. So it creates one auto response rule, configure 3 rule entry criteria, and set a filter for case priority. Select an appropriate email template for each rule entry. So moving to the next one, CloudGeek has a customer success agent going on live and need to change ownership on multiple cases. Which two users are able to fulfill this request? So it is a customer success agent going on leave and need to change the ownership on the multiple cases. I'm going on a leave, I need to change my owners. Which two users are able to fulfill this request? Like, who could change the ownerships? So one is a user with the manage case permission set, and then second is obviously the system administrator. Where is manage case permission set sitting? So let's go to the so let's do this. So say I am a user and I am also a system admin, but let's go ahead and we could go to the permission sets here, and there would be all right. So if we go to the assign case trailhead, it's for the service cloud. We could see that, using an assignment rules for web to case, email to case. Remember to study this during an exam: web to case, email to case, and on demand email to case. So we have assigned cases like this. So some web entry and we get case created, some email entry and we get case created. Using an assignment rule when creating or editing a case, like, we could have an assignment rule set up such, and then changing an ownership of the multiple cases, administrator only. So this is like administrator only kind of a thing, changing ownership on the multiple cases from any case list page. An administrator or a user with a managed case permission can manually assign one or more case to a single user or a queue. In addition, when a case is related to an account, the administrator or user must have read and assign permission on the account as well. So, if the case is associated to an account, for example, Burlington or whatever, along with this, like, if the question was also talking about account, then and the question was about picking three, then we would have a user with the managed case permission, user with read and assign permission on account, and a user with a system administrator profile. So these are kind of this is the way where two users are able to fulfill this request. So these are the two users who are able to fulfill the request. Moving on to the next question, which setting on a profile makes a tab not accessible on all tab page or visible in any app, but still allow a multiple books to review record that would normally be found under this tab? Which setting on a profile makes a tab not accessible and visible, but still allow to view the records that would normally be found under this tab? What could be done? Tab settings. Yes, tab settings. So if you remember, like, we went to the profile, but we could also go in permission set. So I have this custom permission set defined, for example, and if we go to the tab settings, so any object and object will have a tab setting, or we could go to the profile as well. So all the object has a tab setting here. So this is like, we could either do one by one here, or we could go to the profile, for example, a profile, and select, recently, pick any profile we would like. I think we just recently created our test profile, which is, oh my gosh, I forgot to save it. Anyways, we can always go ahead and read it again. And here, if we go and check on the for that profile, default on, default off, and all those things. So which setting on the profile makes, so this is talking about profile makes tab not accessible on all tab page or visible in the app. So accessible or visible in the app, we could be doing it from here as in the tab setting. So moving to the next question, number 17, which is Northern Trail Outfitter has asked an administrator to ensure that when a contact with a little title of CEO is created, the contact account record gets updated with the CEO's name. Which feature should an administrator use to implement this request? So what we are doing is that when a contact with a title of CEO is created, a contact account record get updated with a CEO name. When a contact is created with the title CEO, a contact's account record gets updated with the CEO's name. When a contact, remember and listen to me carefully, when a contact with a title of CEO is created, let's go ahead and do that. So when a contact with a title, new contact, when a contact with a title Mr. CEO is created, the contact's account, So for example, our account is Burlington. When a contact with an account title CEO is created, contacts a snag, what is name? Yes. All right. So here, fake contact Sahana Shah with the title CEO is created. The contact's account record get updated with the, so contact has an account record. So account name, the account record gets updated with the CEO's name. Which feature should an administrator use? There you go, a process builder. So account name. So when we go to the account, it says that account record gets updated with the CEO name. So accounts record details page gets updated with the CEO name. So to do this, like, having a process builder or a flow, which would, check all these conditions and update the field in this record, account record, we could use a process builder instead of doing the task manually. There is workflow rule indicates specific criteria to be met in order to trigger automated action. For instance, based on the record change like date field on an opportunity, an auto notification email alert can be sent to a user. Or workflow in the Salesforce is basically a container or a business logic engine which automates certain action based on the particular criteria. If the criteria are met, the actions get executed. When they are not met, records will get saved, but no actions will get executed. Process Builder, many of the tasks you assign, the email you send, and other record updates are vital part of your standard processes. Instead of doing this repetitive work manually, you can configure flow or processes to do it automatically. We strongly recommend using Flow Builder, but Process Builder can also help you automate your business process and give you a graphical representation as you build in. If you aren't aware about process builders or Flow, Flow is a new substitute of the Process Builder in Salesforce. So, we could define our process builder here, or we could define our flow here, and we can set up an entry criteria and, however we want to set up to have this condition fulfilled. Moving to the question number 18, when a user is in Salesforce, I think I should start hiding the answers. All right, sorry about that. I just realized that I should be hiding the answers. There you go. Now you know the answer, but still, when a user log into the Salesforce via user interface, which two setting does the system check for authentications? System checks for authentication. What does the system check for authentication? The user two-factor authentication for API login permissions. Yes. We need to make sure that, all the APIs are whitelisted, all the IPs are whitelisted, and then, role IP address restriction and the user profile login hour restriction. So when somebody logs in, what do we check? We check two MFA for API login permissions and the user profile hour restrictions. We could quickly take a sneak peek to all of this beautiful articles which are being mentioned here. I'm gonna open all of them and we will take a very, very quick sneak peek at them. And they are available here. I will put them all in the description box below, so that would help if you would like to further read about it. So Salesforce Security Guide. So Salesforce is built with security to protect your data and application. We don't have to worry about anything when we build on-premises of the Salesforce. You can also implement your own security scheme to reflect the structure and need of your organization. Protecting your data is joint responsibility between you and Salesforce. The Salesforce security feature enables you to empower your user to do their job safely and efficiently. Salesforce security basics are been talking here. Authentication users means preventing unauthorized user on your organization to log in, giving user access to the data. Choosing the data set that each user or a group of the user can see is one of the key decisions that affect the data security. You need to find a balance between limiting access to the data, thereby limiting access of the stolen or misused data. Share object in the field, give specific sharing setting to the object in the field. Strengthen your data security with Shield platform encryptions. Shield platform encryptions gives your data a whole new layer of security while preserving the critical platform functionality. Monitoring your organization security, track login history and field history, and security guidelines for Apex and visual development. Understand and guard against vulnerability in your code as you develop the application. So that's about a quick security guide, and this is about MFA, multi-factor authentication in Salesforce. What is multi-factor authentication? Is a powerful, secure authentication method that has two steps to prove user identity. The second is a verification method that user has in their possession, like Authenticator app or a security key. Type of an MFA in Salesforce are Salesforce Authenticator app. I have one. Third-party time-based one-time passcode. So this is like, Authenticator apps with TOTP. And universal second factor security key, that instead of entering one-time password or using the security, you could have a U2F key into an appropriate port on their computer to complete the verification. How to enable MFA? You can go to the security session setting and have the MFA authentication enabled. So which is security, and then security, we go to the security, we have course here, which gives an access to the remote site, any third-party chats or callouts we do. And in this we have, in the security we have session setting. In the security we have session. So in the security we have session setting, and in the session setting we could have MFA enabled. So this is how we enable the MFA. Go to the setup, permission set, click new, enter the permission setup set name, click save, find system permission in, and give an MFA for user interface logins. Check the infographic basics, like how we want to set up. So this is about MFA. When the user log into the Salesforce via user interface, which two settings does the system check for authentication? So answer is the user 2FA from the IP login permission, and then the user profile login hour restrictions. Moving to the next question. Number 19, CloudCake wants a report co-categorize account into a small, medium, and large based on the dollar value found in the contact value field. What feature should an administrator use to meet this requirement? What's the question? Question is that a company wants a report co-categorized accounts into small, medium, and large based on the dollar value found in the contract value. So there is a contract value field which has a dollar value inserted in it, and this is present on the account, and based off them categorize it into the small, medium, and large. What feature should an administrator meet to meet this request? Filter logic, detail column, group rows, and bucket column. Quickly categorize report records without creating a formula or custom field by bucketing them. What does bucket column in Salesforce mean? That's again, here you go. I would just go and click on the first field. So what is bucket field in the Salesforce? Bucket field in the Salesforce is valuable feature that allows you to rapidly categorize value for a field in a report without having to create the. So new report, choose a report type, contact an account, and then, you will see the report like this. Now, suppose you want to add a bucket field by grouping the attribute in the salutation field. So in the salutation field, for example, we are grouping the attribute. And, once we have the attribute grouped, go to the left align menu. So we go to the left align menu and click on a row near column and select add bucket field. So when we select add bucket column and double click, when we select add bucket column, we can then, have add bucket set up here, and we would add our bucket value and give them the name. So we added a bucket that, Mr. is with the gender male, and then you could have female as in a gender, and we add our bucket value and give them the name each. We also name our bucket too. In this scenario, a male and the female bucket is added. So we could also make a second bucket, which will talk about gender, and then we can put first bucket things in there. So now we check our unbucketed values. So for example, we checked our unbucketed values and add them to their respective buckets. For female, we will add Mr. and Mrs. attributes. Sorry, for female, we will add Mrs. and Miss attributes. Similarly, we can add Mr. attribute to the male bucket, and those attributes which cannot be grouped can be kept as others by selecting the option bucket remaining values as other. Click on apply and your attribute will be bucketed as required. So, our attribute will be bucketed as required, and you must first choose the field types. Text bucket field, pick list bucket field, and numeric bucket field are also available. Text bucket field, pick list bucket field, and numeric bucket field. It's worth noting that the field of the other types aren't yet supported. Remember that it's in report, a Salesforce bucket field is simply used to organize the information. That field of other types aren't being supported, and it's only used to organize the information. So if we in the report, if we want to divide based off the dollar value field, then, bucket column, quickly categorize report record without creating a formula is the best way to do so. Number 20, Dreamhouse Realty wants to offer a form on its Experience Cloud site where inspector will submit findings from the property inspection. Which feature should an administrator place on a page to fulfill this form? It wants to offer a form on its site where inspector will submit finding from the property inspection. We could do screen flow, record detail flow, auto launch flow, and related list flow. Screen flow provide a way to guide user through business processes. They provide instruction or call script, prompt user to complete certain field, and then perform action behind the scenes such as record create or record update. Record create or record update. Screen flow is the answer. All right, friends. So today we will pause here. I'm sure you must be sleepy as well, but remember to, look through these 20 questions. We have 160 more to go. So stay with me, stay tuned, hang with me, not hangover with me, hang with me, and then we'll see you in the next session. Till then, bye-bye. Happy Salesforcing.